The fourth Thursday of November requires the United States military to execute one of its most complex annual supply chain operations. The objective is not to deliver ammunition or tactical gear. The objective is to deliver a traditional Thanksgiving meal to every deployed soldier, regardless of how remote or dangerous their location might be. This is not a luxury. It is a calculated military strategy. The Department of Defense understands that morale is a force multiplier. A combat infantryman operating in a hostile environment requires thousands of calories a day just to maintain physical function. But the psychological requirement is equally important. Monotony in diet leads to a condition known as menu fatigue. Soldiers stop eating enough, they lose focus, and they become combat ineffective. Providing a hot, traditional holiday meal is a massive psychological reset button. It provides a direct, tangible connection to home. The process begins in May. The Defense Logistics Agency Troop Support Division, located in Philadelphia, starts calculating the global requirement. During periods of heavy deployment, the sheer volume of food is staggering. The agency coordinates the procurement and shipping of over 300,000 pounds of whole frozen turkeys. They order 80,000 pounds of beef roast, 40,000 pounds of sweet potatoes, and over 30,000 pies. This food is packed into massive refrigerated shipping containers. These containers travel by commercial cargo ships across the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. They arrive at major military logistical hubs overseas. From these hubs, heavy military transport aircraft like the C-17 Globemaster fly the containers into the theater of operations, landing at massive forward operating bases often referred to as FOBs. At a major FOB, feeding the troops is relatively simple. These bases have massive, hard-structured dining facilities operated by civilian contractors. They have walk-in freezers, commercial ovens, and unlimited electricity, but the true logistical challenge lies in reaching the infantrymen living on the very edge of the battlefield. Thousands of soldiers do not live on large bases, they live on small, fortified positions known as combat outposts or COPs. These outposts might hold 50 to 100 soldiers. They are surrounded by dirt-filled blast walls, heavy machine gun towers, and concertina wire. They have no civilian contractors, no running water, and rely entirely on diesel generators for limited power. The roads leading to these outposts are often laced with improvised explosive devices. Delivering a turkey to a COP requires a dedicated aviation mission. Inside the wire of the large FOB, supply officers pack the raw ingredients into large transport boxes. They load these boxes onto the cargo ramps of CH-47 Chinook or UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters. The cargo includes frozen whole turkeys, large bags of dehydrated mashed potatoes, canned green beans, and massive foil trays of stuffing. The helicopter crews fly low and fast to avoid surface-to-air fire. They approach the combat outpost and land on an improvised, dusty landing zone. Because the area is hostile, the helicopter does not shut down its engines. While the rotors are still spinning, throwing thick clouds of dust into the air, the crew chief pushes the pallets out the back ramp. The infantrymen on the ground run out from behind their blast walls, grab the boxes, and haul them inside the perimeter. They are risking their lives to secure frozen poultry and canned vegetables. The military calculates that this risk is entirely acceptable because of the psychological return on investment for the platoon. Once the food is inside the combat outpost, the responsibility shifts to the Army culinary specialists. Cooking a Thanksgiving meal for 100 people is a difficult task. Cooking it in a canvas tent surrounded by sand requires specialized military equipment and strict standardized processes. The primary workspace is often a containerized kitchen, the CK. The CK is an entire industrial kitchen packed tightly into a standard 20-foot metal shipping container. It is towed onto the base by a heavy truck. Once parked, it takes a team of 5 trained cooks about 45 minutes to set it up. They use mechanical hand cranks to expand the sides of the container outward, creating a wide covered cooking area. It contains its own onboard generator, sinks, and preparation tables. But the most critical piece of hardware in any field kitchen is the heat source. The Army does not use natural gas, propane, or wood. The entire field kitchen runs on the modern burner unit, the MBU. The MBU is designed to run exclusively on JP-8. This is the exact same aviation kerosene used to fuel the Black Hawk helicopters and the Abrams tanks. This simplifies the supply chain. The base only needs to store one type of liquid fuel. The MBU works by drawing the liquid JP-8 fuel from a separate fuel can. It uses a small internal air compressor to vaporize the liquid fuel into a fine mist. An electronic ignition sparks, igniting the vapor and creating an intense, highly controlled smokeless blue flame. These burner units are slid directly under large metal cabinets that act as field ovens or under massive stainless steel pots for boiling water. Cooking a whole turkey inside a JP8-fueled field oven requires constant physical monitoring. There are no digital thermostats. The cooks must manually adjust the fuel flow to control the heat. If the burner runs too hot, the outside of the turkey burns while the inside remains raw. If the burner fails, the temperature drops and the meat becomes unsafe to eat. The actual preparation of the meal begins 3 days before Thanksgiving. A 20-pound frozen turkey requires significant time to thaw safely. On a small combat outpost, refrigeration space is incredibly scarce. Cooks use heavy plastic insulated chests packed with ice. Military food safety regulations are strictly enforced, even in a war zone. An outbreak of foodborne illness on a remote base can instantly render an entire infantry platoon combat ineffective. The cooks use digital probe thermometers to check the internal temperature of the thawing meat every few hours to ensure it remains below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. At 4 in the morning on Thanksgiving Day, the cooking process begins. The cooks start the MBU burners. The sharp smell of burning aviation fuel mixes with the smell of roasting meat. Because oven space is severely limited in a containerized kitchen, the cooks must rotate the turkeys in shifts. While the turkeys roast, they prepare the side dishes. They use massive metal pots to boil dozens of gallons of water. They pour in large bags of dehydrated potato flakes and powdered milk, stirring vigorously with long metal paddles to create mashed potatoes. For other items, they rely on the Unitized Group Ration, the UGR. The UGR system uses large, heavy-duty foil pouches. These pouches contain pre-cooked items like gravy, sweet potato casserole, or green beans. The cooks do not open the pouches to heat them. They simply drop the sealed foil bags directly into a vat of boiling water. This prevents the food from burning and requires 0 pots or pans, which saves time and precious water during cleanup. Once heated, the pouch is pulled from the water, cut open, and poured directly into a serving tray. As the turkeys finish cooking, the cooks verify the internal temperature has reached 165 degrees Fahrenheit. The birds are pulled from the oven, wrapped tightly in heavy aluminum foil to retain heat, and placed into insulated transport containers known as cambros. The cambro is a thick, hard plastic box filled with specialized foam insulation. It acts like a giant thermos. It requires no electricity. Once sealed, a cambro can keep food at a safe serving temperature of 140 degrees Fahrenheit for up to 4 hours. This is crucial if the meal needs to be driven out to a smaller observation post in the back of a HMMWV armored vehicle. By late afternoon, the food is ready. The serving line is set up on folding tables inside a large dining tent. This is when the most important tradition of the military Thanksgiving begins. In the United States Army, ranks are strictly enforced. The hierarchy dictates every aspect of daily life, from who gives orders to who cleans the latrines. But on Thanksgiving, that hierarchy is temporarily inverted. The commanding officers of the unit, generals, colonels, majors, captains, and command sergeant majors, put down their weapons. They put on plastic aprons, hairnets, and serving gloves. They take their positions behind the serving line, picking up the serving spoons. When a 19-year-old private walks through the line holding a compartmentalized plastic tray, the battalion commander serves him the sliced turkey. The company commander scoops the mashed potatoes. The first sergeant hands him the dinner roll and a slice of pie. This process is not a public relations stunt. It is a deeply ingrained leadership doctrine. It physically demonstrates the core military concept that leaders eat last. The commanders are visually and practically showing the junior enlisted soldiers that they are personally responsible for their well-being. By standing behind the serving line and dishing out the food, the officers acknowledge the physical hardships and the constant danger that the lower enlisted ranks endure on a daily basis. The interactions on the serving line are brief but significant. The officers look the soldiers in the eye. They call them by their names. They ask about their families back home and wish them a happy holiday. For a period of 2 hours, the rigid formal barrier between a high-ranking officer and a frontline infantryman is completely erased. The officers serve until every single enlisted soldier has received a full tray of food. Only after the lowest-ranking private has sat down to eat will the commanders fix a plate for themselves. Despite the traditional food, the dining environment remains an active combat zone. There are no ceramic plates, no glass cups, and no silver cutlery. The food is served on heavy paper plates or thick plastic trays. The soldiers eat with plastic forks and spoons. The tables are standard military folding tables covered with thin plastic tablecloths. The soldiers do not take off their combat gear. They wear their heavy ballistic body armor while they eat. Their M4 rifles remain slung tightly across their chests or are placed directly on the table right next to their plates. The radio operators keep their headsets on, continuously monitoring the tactical frequencies for enemy movement or calls for fire. Because space inside the dining tent is limited and security on the perimeter must be maintained at all times, the unit eats in shifts. Half the platoon sits down to eat their turkey while the other half mans the guard towers, the entry control points, and the heavy machine guns along the blast walls. They eat quickly. There's no lingering or relaxed conversation. Once the first shift finishes their meal, they wipe down the tables, grab their weapons, and walk out to the perimeter to relieve the soldiers on guard duty. The second shift then comes in from the cold or the heat, takes off their helmets, and walks through the serving line to get their hot food. War is unpredictable. Sometimes, the logistical chain breaks completely. A heavy dust storm might ground all helicopter flights for 3 days. A supply convoy might be halted by a destroyed bridge or an active firefight. When the boxes of raw turkeys and frozen pies do not arrive at the combat outpost, the cooks must immediately adapt. In these situations, the unit turns to the standard individual field ration, the MRE, or meals ready to eat. But on Thanksgiving, good military cooks do not just hand out the brown plastic bags and walk away. They use their skills to elevate the rations. They will open dozens of MREs, extract the individual components like the beef patties, the crackers, and the jalapeno cheese spreads. They use the MBU field burners to heat the components together in large pots, attempting to create a unified hot meal out of cold prepackaged rations. They might take the spiced apple cider powder found in the MRE accessory packets and boil it with water in a massive urn to provide a hot, sweet drink for the soldiers coming off a cold night patrol. It is not a traditional roasted turkey, it does not look like home, but the effort itself is the objective. The cooks work relentlessly to provide something different from the grinding daily routine. By 8 p.m., the meal is completely over. The officers take off their plastic aprons and return to the Tactical Operations Center to review intelligence reports. The rigid military hierarchy is instantly restored. The cooks begin the massive cleanup process. Cleaning a field kitchen requires setting up a field sanitation center. This consists of 3 massive plastic sinks heated by MBU burners. The first sink holds hot soapy water for scrubbing. The second sink holds boiling clear water for rinsing. The third sink holds boiling water mixed with chemical sanitizing agents. Every pot, serving spoon, and Cambro container must be scrubbed and sanitized by hand. All food waste must be immediately incinerated in burn pits. Trash left on a combat outpost attracts local wildlife and feral dogs, which can trigger perimeter motion sensors and cause false alarms for the guards on the wall. The soldiers return to their cramped sleeping quarters or walk back out to their guard posts. The war did not pause. The threat level did not decrease. But for a few brief hours, the massive logistics network of the United States military focused its entire weight on a single objective: delivering a hot turkey and a momentary sense of home to the most dangerous places on Earth.